Just sorting out a list of jobs that we need to get done today. There's always plenty. I've been looking at this carrot pot. It's strange how yesterday we was looking at a container with parsnips in and the stems were going really thick. And it looks like we've got the same thing happening with some of these carrots. So obviously we need to pull one out to see what's happening. And there's a really thick stemmed one. In fact, there's two that stems have gone really thick on. I'll bring it a little bit closer. You should be able to see. It's these ones mainly in the centre. We've got a couple that's gone like that. So I'm going to take those out for two reasons. First reason is I'm just nosy and I want to see what's happening and if we've got any carrot or any size. And secondly, if we take a couple of carrots out that seem to be getting past the best, it's leaving room for the others to grow on a bit better, or at least that's the plan. So I'm going to get one of these thick carrots and we're going to pull it, see if there's actually anything underneath. We have got a bit of a carrot. Everything seems to be growing really strange this year. We've got a bit of a carrot. We've got a huge stem, but only a small carrot. Well, it is quite stubby. It's got some thickness to it, so thinly sliced and a quick boil, we can still use that. And we didn't put Chantenay Royals in this container, which are the carrots that grow quite small and stubby. These were just regular carrots, but early ones, so they should be a lot longer. So this other one's got quite a thick stem, taking that out as well. This one's a bit longer. Not perfectly straight. But it's a weird thing because it is a bit longer, but it's not as thick. So, swings and roundabouts really. Can still use a bit of that. But there, those stems are way too thick for me. We've got some that's more central to this container. And they've got quite a bunch of stems coming off them. But they're all quite thin, which is how they should be. So we've took a couple of carrots out of there. We've got a bit of dead foliage, which I'm just going to remove. It's not going to do any good, so we might as well just get rid of that as we see it. It's just old leaves. So we'll just clean this container up a little bit by taking those away. If they're hanging down outside of your container, after you've watered them, then they're not going to get back up. So they're just going to cause problems in future by attracting pests. And I went round and I fed everything yesterday with a diluted tomato food mix. So everything's had its feed for the next 10 to 14 days. So we don't have to worry about that. And I'm really tempted to take some more carrots out of this just to see what the ones that don't look so thick stemmed are like. But I think we ought to leave them. I'm just going to leave them. I'm always going through plants to see what I've got left, just to make sure we don't run out. And I noticed we've got this pack, the salads that we've grown, and there's quite a few missing out there. And these are romaine lettuce. I don't remember putting any romaine lettuce anywhere, but I must have done, so maybe it's the big container I've got outside greenhouse. But either way, we've got quite a few left, so once they get to that stage, and they're getting to be quite nice little plug plants, minus these yellowing leaves at the bottom. Once you've got something like that, it's time to think about moving it on. Because even though they're very small plants, they still get quite a substantial root system. And of course, they're only in very small cells, so they're going to dry out really quickly. And over the next few days, that's going to prove to be a bit of a problem. Because once your lettuce goes over, it doesn't really like to get back up. I've still got these to prick out. lots more lettuce, and to be honest, I think these have gone way past the point of pricking them out as individual plants to bury deep. They've just got way too tall now. So I think what I'll do with this is I'll move it into a bigger container, and we'll just keep harvesting it as leaf lettuce, because they're all little gems, and little gems are really nice, crunchy little leaves. So if we take it out of something like that, put it into a much bigger container, we'll still have quite a few weeks of harvesting to come from just that little pot. So it's definitely worth doing, because if we keep leaving them and leaving them, they're basically going to choke themselves out with all those roots that are accumulating in the bottom of that pot. Meanwhile, we've still got some nice little ones to move on into individual pots. And I've got some more outside somewhere. It's definitely salad weather, so we've got to keep on top of that. I'm also going to have to do the same with this. We've been a little bit slack with these potting on jobs over the last few days. These are all individual lettuce plants. And the round lettuce, they form a heart, they're not leaf picking lettuce. But it looks like now they're going to have to be leaf picking lettuce, because once again, I think we've left it a little bit too late. Yeah, it's a hearting lettuce. And I can feel that there's loads of roots in bottom here. So at least that's 2 more jobs for today that we can get done. I'll stand them in some water and we'll let them grow on a little bit bigger, but not too much before we move them. But we need to concentrate on things like that. Things that have just gone past that point of no return. But they're now better off planting out as an old clump rather than splitting off into individual seedlings. Although we could split them off into little bunches of seedlings. But I think today I'm just going to move them into a bigger container. And I've also just found another pot. So we've done quite a lot of pots of this. And we've not moved them on because we've been busy trying to sort greenhouses out. They were drying out, so I've just popped them in a watering tray I've put on bench so they can take up some water. We've popped a little bit of feed in there as well. And I've got one of these containers, a few holes in bottom. But I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. You need really good drainage on your salad leaves, otherwise the roots are all going to rot. I'm making sure this has got some nice big holes in it. They should do. So I've just part filled that. Then we'll make that indentation. Always trying to reach an acceptable level when we plant. I think we're going to have to take these down possibly a little bit farther. So we've got a nice clump of salad there. Quite a lot of roots on bottom. So I'm just going to carefully loosen these off. I don't want to separate the whole thing. So all we want to do is drop it straight in there as it is. And then fill around the outside. We're burying a little bit at stem while we're doing this. Not a lot. Just enough to keep it as an upright bunch, the salad. And that already looks much better. It's now got room to spread itself out a little bit, and we're going to get bigger salad leaves from that as well. So that can get stored in a bottom watering tray, and it can take up a little bit of feed at the same time. This one, however, is a proper lettuce, so it's going to try and make larger leaves. And even though we've passed that stage of trying to get them to grow into individual hearting lettuces, we can still plant it out as one big clump. But as you can see, we're going to get much bigger leaves from that. So I'm going to put this in an hanging basket. It'll be plenty deep enough. And we can hang it outside, off the ground, away from bugs, which is most important. And then we can get a nice bunch of undamaged leaf lettuce from it. So exactly the same as what I did before. Putting it central to that basket and then just burying the whole thing. We'll push it down a little bit afterwards as well. the idea is to try and keep it as upright as we can. If you get lettuce leaves sat on your compost, they're going to rot. So I've filled that around edge best way I can, and then compacting it down all the way around, leaving a little bit of a gap between top of that basket and that compost. And we can actually fill a little bit more as well, so we might as well do that, and that's our job well done this morning, so we're not wasting anything that we're growing. And then we'll just let that fan out as it wants to. So we've got a nice little lettuce basket there now. Plenty of room for it to grow on, and once again we're going to stand it in one of these with some water in it. We'll add a bit of liquid seaweed or something like that to it to give it a boost. And because we've now done that, we need to resow some seeds and get some more little seedlings on go to get more lettuces a bit later in season. And this time, not forget that when they get to a certain size, you need to take them out and move them on. Although if they do happen to get too big, because things start growing much faster at this time of year, you've also got the option of creating yourself a little salad planter or hanging basket. If you're interested in seeing what we're going to be doing over the weekend, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and we look forward to seeing you then. It's going to be a warm one, so keep your eye on that watering. Take care.